And if you wanted to configure something in the YAML configuration, right? What is the default configuration? We have to load it into. I mean, what is the default YAML file name? It's again application.yml, right? Extension is YML. So if it is a properties, then it is application.properties. And where we will keep it in our project, in our project structure, where we usually keep this properties file or YAML file. What is the best place?
In resources folder.
Yes, src main resources folder. Yes. So here we will keep our application.properties or application.yaml file. And we also learned yesterday one more important thing, right? So how do we gonna run our application in the real time? Like you wanted to deploy your application inside one application or EC2 cloud or any dev environment or in any container. Are we going to run our application? Not from IDE. What is the way? Yesterday we run for a couple of times, right? Java -jar. What is the command we're going to use? Java -jar and the name of the jar file name, right? So name of the jar file name. So this is the command which we're gonna see, right? Which we're gonna run it out. Okay, good. Why? Because it's very important. You must know why the application is going to be run in a Docker container or Docker or any standalone deployment in cloud or an on-prem server. Okay, so that is what is my next slide. That's why I'm just making you to remember this. Okay, and it is also possible to use placeholders, right? Something you want to configure dynamically. Yes, still that can be configured. Yes. So our next discussion is, for example, let me explain you this thing. Okay, look at this application where we are connecting to a database, right? For example, this is your Spring Boot application, right? Let's assume this is your Spring Boot application, and this Spring Boot application is connecting to a database. Yeah, obviously, right? We mostly connected to the database from our Java application. So there is nothing new, right? This is we are doing since decades, right? So this is we are doing this since decades. This is something new. So Spring Boot also no exception. So your Spring Boot application will connect to the database, right? So if you wanted to connect it to a database, what are all the details are required? How do you connect it to your Java to a database from Java application? What are all the details are required? Come on, guys.
We need the database.
Yes.
URL, username, password.
Yes.
Database name.
Exactly. So where the database is running and what is the database name and what is the username, correct, right? What is the username and what is the password, right? These details minimum required. Whether it is a Spring Boot application, normal Java application, or Struts application, whatever the application, if you wanted to connect it to the database from your Java application, then these details are minimum to minimum required, right? Yes. So there is no exception for the Spring Boot also. Okay, you have to provide these details. Okay, so we are good to give these details in a properties file. No doubt at all. You can put those details in a properties file, and that from that properties file you can read it. Yes. So the things looks good if the environment is a dev environment or QA environment. Up to dev and up to QA, it's good. You can hard code the details. But what about production? What about production? If it is an existing application.properties file, and if you know the production database username and password, right? Is that the safe thing to do? Is that the good way to keep application production database details in an application properties file where the each developer can see? Do you really feel that is a secure? No, right? So up to dev it's okay, up to QA it's okay, but at least for prod, no, it is not at all good, right? At least for prod, it is not at all good. Then what should we do? right? Instead of hard coding the details in the properties file, we need to pass that configuration dynamically, right? Instead of packaging this configuration, right? Instead of sharing this to the developer, right? What we do pass dynamically. So what does that mean dynamically? When you will pass? At the time of you running your application using a java-jar command, we do pass that configuration, right? We do pass that configuration. So this is what dynamic, right? Property binding, right? Dynamic properties binding in the Spring Boot. So how are we going to do the dynamic properties binding in Spring Boot, right? So you have to pass few parameters, right, with the Java command. Java jar, and where what is the properties file you want to load dynamically, right? It won't be available in our application. We will copy that file in a server some location, right? In server some location. So inside that location, inside that server, we will keep this properties file, right? And we will ask Spring to load the properties file from that particular config file. For example, right, look at this example. Right now I don't want to keep this properties file inside my application, so I will delete this message, or else I will delete this file itself. Okay, I'll delete this file itself. What I will do, I'll put this file inside in my system somewhere else. So control N, right? um, what is the key? It's a welcome message, right? Welcome hyphen message, right? A welcome hyphen message equals to something like loading props from local system, right? I'm going to save this. So make sure the name you give it as any name. Application is not only required. You can give local hyphen props dot properties, right? But the extension should be dot properties. So I'm going to save this in my E drive. E drive, let's put it inside code base, right? E drive code base. So here I'm going to save this properties, right? So let's go to that file system and see whether the file saved or not. Yeah, it got saved, right? Local props dot properties, local props dot properties. So now my application not having any application dot properties. If I do run this code, we will get an exception because that property is missing, right? The property binding is missing. So it's a mandatory property, right? So you need to pass that property, right? So you just scroll right, welcome message, property binding is missing, right? So instead of running it from an IDE, right, from IDE, what I will do, I'll just run it from command line. So run as Maven build. Let's build the application. Clean install. Okay, so this is what is going to be happened by the developer. Developer build the application to Jenkins server and all. So the developer is out of scope. Once the build is ready, right? Once we get the .jar file is successfully created. What is this? Test case run. Test case failure. Okay. So test case failure. What I will do, I'll skip running the test case, right? So right click, run as. Run configurations. So it's going to be Spring Boot props. Just skip the test cases. No need to run the test cases. Unable to find single main class. There are two main classes are present. That is a problem. So let me name it as main one. Okay, let's build it again. So the jar file got created, right? Just refresh, go to properties, physical location. Yes. Okay, so just go inside target folder. Here is the jar file which is created. Right click, hit dash here. Okay, so right now we are inside target folder, right? So if I just choose Java hyphen, sorry, I can't run Java directly, right? I just let me get the complete class path, program files, Java, JDK, bin, right? Just let me copy this and put it. Sun is sticking out. So slash Java. Yes, there we go. Save this. Now let's go to the command prompt and enter Java hyphen jar. You just type Spring Boot application, right? Spring Boot properties. So still our application will fail, right? Because that property binding is missing. Whether you're running from an IDE or running from locally, both you are same because this property binding is missing. So I will fix that issue, right? I will fix that issue by passing the properties file which is in my locally, right? So the command we have to pass is hyphen hyphen spring.config.location. Spring.config.location. Let's go to the command prompt and just type spring.config.location. Location or locations? Location. Okay. Equals to. So where is my file is present? It is present inside E drive, right? It is present inside E drive code base, right? So just give the same thing. E drive code base, right? Slash code base slash local hyphen props, right? Local hyphen props dot properties. Okay, dot properties. Yeah, I'm just going to click enter. See, now the application will run successfully. Uh-huh. Is the key same? Welcome hyphen message. Welcome hyphen message. Okay. Local hyphen props dot properties. Good. I think the problem with the slash which we are using in the command. So I believe we need to give this slash instead of backward slash. We should give forward slash. Mhm. So let's give file colon not required actually. We can directly give spring hyphen. Sorry, the key itself is wrong, right? Spring dot config dot location. That is the problem. Spring dot config dot location. Yeah, spring dot config dot location. Then it should work. Right? See, welcome message loading props from local system. So this is what we do most of the times, like in the real, right? So we don't keep some configurations which are secured in our prop application. So we will send them at runtime, right? So you will pass by using this spring hyphen config location. Right? This is to pass one particular properties file, but if you have multiple properties files are present, right? For example, in my users home config folder, I have two properties. One is application and another JDBC. Now, if I wanted to pass multiple properties file, then you have to use this command java hyphen jar. So what is the name of the spring application? So it may not be all the time app.jar, At example purpose, I'm just giving it as after jar, but it will vary, right? From project to project, the name will change. But here, the command you have to use spring.config.name to specify the properties name. So you don't need to specify dot properties. That is not required. You just give file name without the dot properties, right? So and you have to specify spring.config.location. Where is the folder this dot two properties files are present. Okay. So this is for multi-loading, right? The second command is to load multiple properties file, and the first command is to load only one particular properties file. Okay, so this is a real-time approach. This is what we used to do. Okay, and next important thing, this one, right? So it is also possible to load. It is also possible to load system environment variables, right? So where do we use this? In Docker we do use. So as we already discussed, okay, let me spend a few minutes how the Docker environment looks like. Um, yeah. So let's consider this is your server machine, right? Server machine. So this is the, you can think like this is the server machine. Okay. Yeah. So in server machine, for example, in most of the servers, right, we do install Linux, right? So when you install Linux OS, right? When you install Linux OS, how exactly Linux will execute the commands? So you will execute some command like ls-lrt. So how operating system is going to execute that command? It internally use kernel. It internally use a kernel option. So this kernel is a communicator between user interface and operating system. So this kernel is going to process all the user actions. Okay. So this is what is a Linux operating system. So when you are running your applications on a Docker, right? So how Docker looks like, Docker will be behaving like another machine, right? Another sub machine on your server machine, right? So for example, now you have a computer. On top of that, if you're running a Docker container, right? Docker container. So this Docker container will behave like another machine on your system. So you can install a different OS on this Docker container. There is no doubt at all. Okay, you can install another OS version. So whatever the OS which is running on the server machine, let's call it as base OS, right? So already the server machine has some OS, right? That is a base OS, and whatever the OS you gonna install it on a container. So this is up to this particular container only. So maybe on your system you can run, right, something like this. So your base server system can be run on Red Hat, right? So Red Hat, this is one flavor of Linux system, right? Linux operating system, and now your Docker container can have Solaris, right? Solaris operating. These two are Linux operating systems only, but from different organizations, right? Solaris from different organization, Red Hat from different organization. So, but these two are again Linux operating systems. So now you can install two operating systems on one machine, right? So before that, before how we are doing this, before Docker, this concept is there. This is nothing new, right? Before also we used to do that, to do install two different operating system on one computer. You have to install VMware. What you have to install? VMware. So it's pretty easy. Just go to Google and type Oracle VMware. There is one tool available, right? VMware. Uh, so using that VMware, even you can install Linux on your computer. But these days, no VMware, because Docker is lightweight and much better performer than the VMware. That's why we are moving to Docker. So when you install a different OS on the Docker machine, Docker container will not have a kernel, right? What it does, it uses base OS kernel, right? This is a OS without kernel, and the actual server will have OS with kernel, right? The container is without. So for example, if you run two Docker containers on your machine, what does it mean? Like you splitted your computer into two subsystems, right? Two subsystems. So you can run how many number of Docker containers you want to run. There is no problem at all. So this is going to be Docker, another Docker instance. If you want to, you can install a different OS here, right? So another version of Linux is Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu, UNTU, yeah, I believe. So OS Ubuntu can be installed, and again, this Docker also will not have any kernel. So all these operating systems are going to be used base server kernel only, right? Base server kernel only. Okay. So now your Docker is behaving like a different system. This Docker container is going to be behave like a different system. So when I set a different system machine, can I set the environment variables on the Docker or not? Will you able to set the environment variables in your machine or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the same way you can set environment variables for your Docker container. So how exactly we do write a Docker? We don't directly create the container. So what we do, first of all, we will write a Docker file, right? So you start with the Docker file. Then this Docker file will be converted into a Docker image, right? The process of converting, okay, I'll put it in a different. We can run two paint instances. We can run that. Yeah. Okay. So how exactly your Docker is going to be? It's first you write Docker file. Then the Docker file will be converted into Docker image. The process of converting Docker file into Docker image is called Docker build, right? Build process. Then that image can be used to create Docker container, right? So we can do compare something like this, right? So as a developer in Java, what do? You do write a Java file, right? You write a Java file, and the Java file will be converted into a .class file, right? Compilation. As part of compilation, the Java file will be converted into a .class file, right? Yeah. So you can consider that as an image. By using .class file, how many number of objects you can create? By using one .class file, how many objects you can create?
Any number.
Any number. The same concept applicable for Docker also. By using one image, you can create any number of Docker containers. Okay, you can just compare something like this, right? So first you write a Docker file, you convert that into an image. So the process of converting Docker file into image is a build, and running this image into a container is like a Docker run command, right? So running the Docker container, right? So you can create any number of Docker containers by using one Docker image. There is no problem with that. Like similar, like how many number of objects you can create from one .class file. You can create any number of .class file. There is no problem. But these two are different concepts, right? Docker container is going to behave like one machine on another machine, right? It will be considered as a machine. So on your computer, whatever you are doing, you can do the same thing on the Docker also. Okay, so you can set environment variables. You can install any software, right? Here you can install a JDK. Yes, no doubt at all. So you can run a Spring Boot application here, right? So when you are running a Spring Boot application, for example, if you are running on a port number 8080, okay, if you are running a Spring Boot application on port number 8080, the same thing can be done on the other machine also. Usually in one machine, in one machine, the port cannot be used, right, multiple times. It is not possible. But when you are working with the Docker, it is possible because these two are considered two different machines, right? These two are considered two different machines. So why I'm telling all this story, because how do you gonna set an environment variable in a Docker file, right? So this is what you're gonna do. So you will specify, while writing the Docker file itself, you will specify what is the properties file you wanna load and from where you gonna load it. Okay, so Java Spring Boot loads environment variables also. So to load that environment variable details into your Spring Boot application, we're going to use an existing bean called, okay, environment, okay, environment.java. So this is a Spring Bean. So by using this, you can load existing application, right? Existing environment variables on your computer. So whenever you are running on a Docker, it's still possible to set environment variables, and this is going to be present inside a Docker file. This is going to be present inside Docker file, and when you are running your Docker container, you just say java-jar, but still it takes this properties file. How it's going to take? It's going to take from environment variables. Okay, so this is also one of the way. This we do it for containerization purpose. This is we do it for standalone deployment. Okay, and if you're whenever you want to run your application on a different port, right? For example, I think yesterday, I don't know whether I covered or not. For example, um, in my properties file I have a message, right? Message, but we can override this message. Right? What you can do, you can pass this as a runtime argument, right? So instead of loading the data from existing properties file, so either it can be a local system properties file, or your resources folder properties file, right? Restore from local history, we deleted application. Let's put the things back. Okay, so if you want to override this message, that can be overridden. So you have to pass the value, right, at runtime. For example, run as spring run configuration. Okay, run as run configuration. Go to JRE. One second. Let's select this Spring Boot Java application. Spring Boot application. We're gonna run this Spring Boot application. In arguments, you can override. You can override whatever message you want to override. For example, welcome that message equals to, okay, this is new message passing at runtime, right? So at any particular property you want to override, you can still override. So this property is going to be given high priority, right? So whatever the property which loads from the application property, right, that's going to be overridden by the value which we are passing. So let me do one. Just refresh the project and go to project and clean. Right click, run as Java application. Hey friends, welcome to the Spring Boot features. Okay, what happened? Why our message is not picked? Run as run configurations. Uh, where did I configure that? Yeah, right. Let me take it. Put it somewhere. Okay. So I'll just put it in my application. Apply. So it's going to take the value which we are passing that content, right? Welcome message. What happened? Right click, run as run configurations. Okay, I'm running Spring Boot application. There is no doubt. Okay, in the VM args, we are passing hyphen welcome message. Let's do one thing. Let's pass this as VM argument -d. Okay, if it is a program argument, just hyphen. If it is a VM argument, -d. Apply run. Could not load main class. Run as configurations, arguments, right? There are too many configurations are there. We just do one thing. I just delete everything. Delete this. Delete this one also. So we will have only one configuration. So just show this. Take it here. -d welcome message. Okay, good. Run. Could not com in IT dot basic. Hey, too much. Clean it.basic.spring boot application. Okay. Run as run configurations. Search. Do search by yourself. So I want to run this, right? Okay. Arguments. We're going to pass these arguments. Okay. Run. Let's go. Let's run local arguments. Okay. It's good. Okay. Then try passing that argument. Hyphen welcome message. Post. Like, so it's working, right? So we need to pass this string parameter instead of hyphen. Okay, welcome message. Now, so the new message is getting printed, right? Welcome to Spring Boot Features. This is loading from here. Okay, and why that is not overloading my property? Run configurations. So welcome icon message. Welcome icon message. This new message passing at one time. Apply. Run. It can pass, there is no doubt at all. We tried this, right? We already tried this, and this is working fine. So we can also, this is a predefined property, so you can change the port number. There is no doubt at all. The same way you can run this. This works for custom properties also. Welcome iPhone message, right? Welcome iPhone message. So why this is not loading? This is becoming empty. Run as run configurations. You can pass something like this -d. Okay, and you can give the property name directly. Okay, got it. The problem is this one. When you are passing a string with this, space separated, right, in command line, that should be enclosed with double quotes. Otherwise, every space separate, it will be considered as a separate string, right? So here we are passing. If we don't keep the double quotes, right, what is happening? So it's gonna take this one string is another string, new another string, message another string, right? So and we are passing a message with space separator. Yeah, that is a problem. You have to put it in the double quotes. Now that override the new value will be. Yeah, sorry, I forgot that. So the problem is not with Spring. The problem is the way we are passing in wrong. Okay. So if you are passing any message, right, and if that message has any spaces in between, then that string should be wrapped inside double quotes. The string should be wrapped inside double quotes. Right? So not only our custom messages, there are few predefined messages like port change, right? So we will use this in the microservices. So if you wanted to change the port number dynamically, then we do use server.port. Okay, and we can also pass the properties file when you are running through Maven, but we don't run through Maven in the real time. Okay, so this is one of the option we can run, but we don't try this in the real time application. Okay, so this is how we're gonna send the details to the production. Okay, so one is Java jar and pass the one. If you want to pass only one file, use string config location. And if you want to pass multiple files, then you have to specify where are those multiple files are present, and you have to just give the application JDBC. Okay, and then the next one is setting the details in the environment variables, and you can read it from the environment variables. Can you try these two? Or do you want me to show those two examples also? And it is also possible to override any particular property, right? So by passing it dynamically, it is also possible to override at runtime. So do you want me to try this, or you try from your end, loading multiple properties file
We
and
will try.
right, setting it in environment variables and read it into your Spring Boot application. Okay, yeah, you
Sunil,
just
one question, Sunil.
yeah.
If I have more than two, like if I have multiple properties files, then in that -string.config.name, shall I give star so that it will take all the files from that location? Is it possible?
You just try that out. I never tried that out. I used to pass
Okay.
comma separated. Yeah, you just put star regular expression and just check it out. All the files are loading. Might work. Just try
Okay.
that out because Spring supports regular expression. Yeah, it might support, but I am not 100% sure. Right? Just instead of giving file names as a comma separated, you put star, then it loads all the properties first. Okay. But I used to give something like this. I never tried that in star command.
Okay, Sunil, I'll do. Right.
Yeah. Next
Yeah,
question.
Sunil. What about multiple files from multiple locations?
You can pass multiple comma separated here. Okay, comma separated here you can pass. But we don't keep configuration in multiple places. We will put in one folder, right? That won't be a good practice, right? So we will put in one folder and we will take multiple. We will split it into multiple files. So mostly we don't do a multi-folder configuration. That is not a good practice. But you can just do comma separate pass. But that is not good. Real time we don't do that. Okay, so mostly these days microservices are meant to be containerized Docker, right? So even these also we don't do. This is important, right? Docker file configuration is very important. Okay, and these days now very recently Kubernetes has its own config map. So mostly there we are configuring it. Right, things are changing day by day. Okay, and one more thing I want you to show you is. Yeah, earlier, right? The actually, yeah. Let's go to the last example, right? So we discussed, right, when we can run multiple containers. So what is the problem when you are running multiple containers? We need someone supported to take care about all these container health checks and managing these containers, right? So to manage these containers, now we're gonna use Kubernetes. So the another approach for Kubernetes is, and another alternative Kubernetes for Kubernetes is Docker Swarm, but Kubernetes is good. Docker Swarm is not that much popular. So mostly we do use Kubernetes to manage this container. So earlier, it's a manual configuration. Kubernetes setup is manual configuration, but the very latest is now all the cloud computing. For example, if you go to AWS, right? AWS introduced a concept called EKS. There is a new service, Elastic Container Service, right? So using this, you can easily deploy Kubernetes instances, right? So this is one feature, but this is works only in Google. This is works only on AWS. Google has GKS, Google Kubernetes Service. Right? GKE, not S. Sorry, Google Kubernetes Engine. Right? Google Kubernetes Engine. So like this is Google's. So like this we have Azure It's from microservice, so Microsoft Azure Kubernetes Service, some AKS, they call that as AKS, right? So earlier we used to configure things manually. Now full automation is on the way, right? So tomorrow, like when you are going to deploy your Java microservices application in AWS, so you're gonna deploy those applications into AWS plus ECS. Elastic Kubernetes Service and Elastic Container Service, where we run container is for Docker, Kubernetes for Kubernetes pods. So if you're going to use Google Cloud, so I don't know, I know only one thing with JKE. I don't know the full details, right? So at least for Kubernetes, we have called concept called GKE. Might be how ECS is there. There might be some other service would have been there in Google. So similarly in Azure, right? So in Azure, we have a service called AKS, Azure Kubernetes. Right? So we don't know, right? This is completely a project requirement, a deployment plan. There might be some comparisons. Maybe the things will work in the same way. The naming convention would have been different. The configuration would have been different. But so this is what it's going to be happening in the real time, right? So mostly like we do run multiple Docker containers and we do control those Docker containers by using Kubernetes orchestration. So Kubernetes has so many implementations, right? Every cloud has their own service. So we don't have any particular specification, I believe, right? So there is a common specification across all these tech, uh, providers, right? I don't know whether we have any common compatibility and all, but I am not sure. Might be available or not available, but when you're gonna deploy your Spring Boot application in a fully containerized, fully automation structure, so we do use these services, EKS and ECS. Okay, so if you're gonna take any DevOps training, just ask them, are you going to cover EKS, GKE, or AKS, right? So then only opt for that DevOps training. Okay, because this is what is the future, EKS, GKE, and AKS, right? So mostly right now everybody is doing a manual configuration. That won't be there in the future, like full of automation it's going. But anyway, that won't come into microservices development part. That is going to be a deployment plan. Just for your idea, I'm just sharing the details. Okay, and let's come back. Close the browser. Sorry. So these are the ways we can load the properties files. Yes, now it's time to see how to load customized properties files inside our application, right? So let's go to the next slide. Yeah. Before that, I just want you to tell, right? Yeah, this one. If you wanted to load any customized properties file, right? For example, a properties file like config.properties or db.properties, anything. Like this is how we do load it while running the application. But inside your ID, right? Inside your application, you want to load any properties, and you have to use et property source, right? Et property source. By using this, you can load any properties file. It can be no need to be application.properties. It can be a customized properties file also, right? It can be a customized properties file also. You can load customized properties file by using et property source annotation. If it is more than one file, then the annotation is et property sources, plural, right? Et property sources ending with s. So you can specify multiple files, right? So if the same key is present in application.properties file and you are loading with the property source, then this will be overridden, right? Application properties file value is going to be overridden by the et property sources. Okay. So now how we have et property sources for properties file to load a different file name, right? Not application.yaml, right? You want to load another config.yaml, db.yaml, then we don't have any annotation for that, right? So you need to configure YAML property source load.java programmatically, right? For YAML, we don't have such support. So only for properties files, we have that support, right? But if you wanted to load any file which is not application.yaml, right? Then you must specify, you must provide implementation for YAML property source loader, okay? So this is all about loading customized properties and customized YAML files. Yeah, so we already discussed, right? YAML file looks something like this in a tree structure. Properties file looks something like this. Okay, and it is also possible to configure list properties, map properties, right? Inner closures and all. Okay, so this is also possible, and there are some relaxations are available. Okay, there are some relaxations. For example, if your property file is having welcome hyphen message, right, in the properties file, if it is a welcome hyphen message, then you can load it as welcome message. There is no problem, right? So these hyphens, right, and upper lower case, underscores, camel case, all uppercase constants, right, will be ignored. So whether you give welcome message or welcome hyphen message, welcome underscore message, right, camel case, lower uppercase mixing, all uppercase characters will be only one thing, right? So this can be configured in multiple. This can be configured welcome hyphen message, and you can configure welcome in capital, right? All are in uppercase. I think control shift to you convert into, yeah, uppercase, or some uppercase, some lowercase, no problem. Okay, you can mix. All these are equivalent to a simple welcome message in the Spring Boot. So some relaxations we have in Spring Boot property binding, right? So you can give hyphens, underscores, camel case, right? And constant declaration, still it is fine. There won't be any problem. All will be considered as only one property file. Okay. Yeah. So we have some relaxation also. Yeah. So one very important feature which I want to tell you is that at configuration properties. It's very useful. Okay. So look at this example configuration, right? So look at this example very carefully. So this is the common requirement in our project, right? So you might have a properties with the prefixed, right? Some kind of prefix. So what is the prefix here for all properties?
Mail.
Exactly, right? Mail is the prefix, and the remaining properties are like properties, right? So if you want to load these many properties, right? How we are doing this till now? You have to use at value annotation, right? At value annotation, right? So to load all these 17 properties files, so how many at value annotations you're going to use it in your project for each property?
17.
At one at value annotation, right? So your configuration looks messy, right? So some kind of horrible like it looks like, right? So instead of using at value, what do we do? We do use some kind of concept called at configuration properties. At configuration properties. So you don't need to use any at value, right? Any at value, you automatically your properties will be binded into a Java file. So what you have to do, you have to use at configuration, right? First is at configuration on top of your class. It can be anything, at configuration, at component, right? Or there are some annotations, at enable configuration properties, or at enable configuration properties can. There are so many things are there. Okay, ignore about all those things. Just add at configuration. That is fine, right? At configuration and add at configuration properties. At configuration properties, and you have to specify what is the prefix in your properties file. So the prefix is mail, right? So how the mapping is going to happen, in your Java, if you have a property called host name, then the host name value will be automatically populated to the Java property. So here I have a host name, right? So this host name value, mailer.@mail.com value will be populated to this property. So similarly, we have a port, right? Port available in the properties file. Then the port will be mapped to a port property in the Java file. So similarly, we have from, right? Similarly, we have from property, right? From property, right? This from property will be value, right? Mailer@mail. Instead of doing that, let's give some classification. From mailer, right? From mailer@mailer, right? From mailer@mailer.com will be loaded into from property. Sometimes you have like list properties, right? For example, uh, to whom and all you want to send a mail, not to one person, for multiple persons you want to send, right? You can specify that using index based, right? So this is going to be an array list. Automatically the index based properties will be loaded into default recipients, right? So here, what is the key? Default recipients. So that property will automatically convert it into a list of string, right? And you have, for example, if you want to configure something into a map, right? So inside your Java file, right? Can somebody say now how does my property file should be written in my mail.properties? You have to write a private map. So key and all are string, right? So key is a string, value also a string, key is the string, value also string. So my variable, my property name is going to be additional headers. So automatically Spring loads these properties into a hash map. So key is the read delivery, value is the true. Key is the read delivery, value is a true. And key is a secure, value is a true, right? If you want to make it false, secure, false, right? So read delivery true, secure is false. But the property is additional headers, and this is going to be key, and this is going to be value. So it is also possible to configure map properties, right? Key value base in one file, and it is also possible to have inner properties, right? Has a relationship. Now my main property is going to have a class called credentials. In that credentials, I'm going to have three properties: username, password, and auth methods. Let's see whether we have that or not, right? So I think we don't have that. We will do that. Okay, we don't have that, right? So we will do that. So we will do one thing. Let me delete this additional headers, right? So let me create a class. What is the property name? Credentials, right? So let's just create one more class called credentials. Now inside this class, what are the properties I should put? Private string. Tell me, what is the property I should put inside credentials?
Username. Password.
Exactly. It's going to be username. What happened? Others so dull today? Password. Is it because of wine shops reopened or what? Just kidding, yes. String. Method. What happened? Everybody silent today. Is that true? Are you guys
Like
fed up with
standing in the line.
standing in the yesterday I saw one WhatsApp status, man. That was really funny. There is a big queue. One person went with the chair and umbrella. So somebody took some WhatsApp status. What he's doing, he's standing in the queue. It's a huge. I mean, it's too hot, right? So what he is doing is just simply he's simply sitting on that line, and he bought some chair also and umbrella also. One yeah. So there was some person who bought water bottle also. It's really seems like some kind of viral. They want to become viral and they are doing it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the water bottle is for different purpose.
Oh, like on the fly they will on the fly they use it.
Yeah.
Okay. Just select getters and setters. Okay. So let's configure this in the mail.properties. Mail.properties. Private credentials. So the property should match whatever which is there in the properties file, right? So yeah, so let me just add setters and getters configuration. Yeah, setters and getters, just generate the toString method, new string method, right? Alt Shift S is the shortcut. Just go and select the, sorry, not getters. Alt Shift S, long press of S will generate this toString method pop-up. Just click OK. So the shortcut is Alt Shift long press of S to generate two string shortcut. So let's generate one more two string in the credentials. Alt Shift long press of S. There is one two string that will be generated. Okay. So, so this is how we do load, right? So really we should thank to this configuration properties, right? So otherwise we would have been having so many at value annotations. All those things can be avoided. Single annotation at configuration property. At configuration properties. So that Spring will automatically load, right? Spring will automatically load all these properties file, right? All these properties file. And now what I will do, I know I'm gonna mix this one, right? So already application that properties is there. We are loading welcome message. We are loading welcome message. So now what I will do, along with loading this application dot properties file, I will also load this application dot configuration dot properties. So to load this a file which is not application dot properties file, just now we discussed, right? What annotation we have to use?
At the rate properties.
Exactly, at property source, right? At property source. Here you can specify what is the name of the properties file, right? So application hyphen configuration, application hyphen configuration dot properties, application hyphen configuration dot properties. Yeah, so now my application dot properties configuration properties will be loaded and will automatically, that those details will automatically bind it into mail properties.java. So when my application is ready, I can see all details populated inside my mail properties. If I just print a default recipients and additional properties, right? So let's first print default recipients and additional properties, and then I will print all the information, right? Some separation, line separation, and I will print all the details. Let's run this code, right? So let's put the things back to main. Yeah, run as Java application. Let's go to console. There is some exception, file not found. Application configuration dot properties. Is there any type of mistake? Application icon configuration. Yeah, TION, right? My properties file doesn't have TION. Yeah, some type of mistake. Let's run it for one more time. Run as Java application. See, now the details are printing, right? Admin Gmail, owner mail, admin mail, owner mail. These two are from default recipients and additional headers, right? Redelivery to secure false. This from hash map. And now I'm printing all the properties, host name from default recipients, credentials also loaded. See, credentials, inner property, right? Credentials, username John, password, authentication method is SHA-1, right? SHA-1. So this is how we do load multiple properties into a Java file, one Java file. So this is what we call it as Java properties binding in Spring, right? Java properties binding, and it's going to be pretty easy with at configuration properties, okay. So there are some conflicts we have, right? By default this at configuration properties won't work, but as per the latest configuration it's supposed to work, but somehow it's not working with the latest configuration also. So to enable this at configuration properties, you have to add at configuration or at component or at enable configuration properties or at the configuration properties can anything, it's fine, any annotation. So it won't work individually. Actually, as per the latest documentation 2.2.6, it should work individually, but somehow I don't see that it's happening. Let's try that again. If it works, it's good, right? Yeah, so defaultly it is not working. Configuration properties application requires, right? So mail properties not created. So somehow it is not working, right? So that's why I'm adding it configuration. But as per the latest configuration, it works by default. I don't know why it is not working. Yeah, so I'm just going back and adding that it configuration. Now the details are okay. So there are so externalized configuration in Spring Boot is a huge concept, right? It talks about how many ways you load the properties file. Okay, I just covered like almost like 8 to 10 ways we load, right? So default configuration is what, and how do you pass dynamically, right? Some configuration, if you want to make abstract secure, then how you do that, and how to set up an environment variable, right? And what is the difference between YAML configuration and properties configuration? And if you wanted to load a file which is not application.properties, and how to load one file and how to load multiple files. And if you want to load the YAML configuration which is not application.yaml, then what should do? Right? And what type of relaxations you're gonna get it, right? What type of relaxation? Let's apply this relaxation also. For example, in my properties file, if you see, right, hostname n small, but in my Java configuration I have n capital, right? Still it works because this n camel lowercase uppercase will be ignored by relaxed binding, right? If I just add hyphen again, go back to my main class, and if I run the code, still I get that host name printed on the console, right? Because hyphen or underscore lowercase uppercase will be ignored by automatically the Spring Boot. See, still that mail is loading, right? In my application properties, I have host hyphen name, but in my Java properties I just have a simple Java property, right? So all these hyphens, underscores, camel case, uppercase will be relaxed as part of property binding. Okay, and if it is a map, right, if it is a list, it will automatically load it into a list. If you want a map configuration, then automatically loaded into a map. So but one thing is you have to keep in mind is this name should be matched, except the relaxation part, relaxation features hyphen, underscore, lowercase, uppercase, right? You make sure that name should matching, right? If you have host name, and in your properties file if you have a different name, right, so then that property will not be populated. And for list we have one more benefit, instead of configuring it like index spaces, it is also possible to configure it by comma separator. Still these details will be loaded into an array list automatically, like comma separator, right? So these details will automatically loaded. Let's go to the main class and run the code. Right, see the still the omni sorry, admin mail, owner mail is loading, right? So comma separated also can come. Okay, so with this we are done with a huge concept called externalized configuration, right? We learn how to do a Java binding, property binding, YAML binding, customized binding, dynamic property binding, and any particular property you want to load, right? Any particular, yeah, the last one small concept I will cover, which is environment Java. Okay, environment Java. So with this we are done with externalized configuration. So let's go back to our old application, right? Value, right? So if you don't want to use this annotation, it is also possible to use an existing predefined environment entity. Okay, so Spring Boot will automatically create that entity. You just do auto by called environment, right? So this is going to have that message, right? Message. So here, how do you gonna get that message from environment.get what environment is this? Sorry, it's Cobra. It's wrong import. Sorry, it should be from Spring Framework. Okay, it should be from Spring Core environment. Yeah. So now you see some kind of getter method called get property, and here you need to specify the message, right? So using this you can load the properties. So the difference between value and environment, so apart from application properties, any properties you want to load from environment, right? It should be welcome hyphen message, right? Yeah, key is a welcome hyphen message. That's why it's not loaded. Yeah, so this is new message, right, which we are passing dynamically. So how at AutoAid working the same way environment get property works. So not only customized property, right? The benefit with environment, not only our defined user defined properties, you can also configure which is like environment variable, right? So some environment variable also can be taken. For example, every system will have an environment variable called path, right? So we can print the path here. The system environment variable path can be printed. See, this is my environment variable. I will give a lines of data, then it would be more easy for you to understand. Okay. So this is my system path. So I don't have configured Java here. That's why I'm passing the fully qualified path of Java, right? So yeah, I put Java. C program file Java JDK. Then why the Java is not recognizing? C program file Java JDK 1.877. So if I type Java, then it should work. Software Java runtime environment. I think there are two things are configured. Uh, software. There is something with my path configuration, something wrong with my path configuration. I will check that later. But anyway, so still you can access system properties by using environment. That is not possible with at value. Okay, so you can print path, you can print class path, or any particular environment variable you configure that can be accessed through environment.java. So this is the predefined entity, which also no class path. So that's why we are getting now. Okay, so this is a predefined entity from Spring. Spring will automatically create a bean called environment. So you can just auto-write that and you can access the property, right? So this is one of the way. Okay, so this is one of the way you can get print all the messages. Okay, at value or at environment. So environment is like more powerful than the at value. So where you can get system environment details also. Okay, so with this we are done with the concept called externalized configuration. It's a very huge concept, like at least the explanation wise. So in your project, and for sure you're going to use any one out of all this. Okay, I cannot guarantee all the concepts will be used. Based on your project requirement, you do use a few out of them, right? So I'll just pick this.
Sunil, here you have shown us like using the properties file, like loading properties using this property source and configuring Java objects for properties and this environment also. So which is the best way to use it? Like whether to load it from properties and using at value, or from Java configuration, or this environment?
This one you're talking?
No, here we have configured the properties file using application properties, not application, some other properties file, and using add properties source to load it, right? And again, we had this Java configuration also.
Java configuration properties. Yeah, this one.
Yeah. Then you have shown how to get the value by using environment.
All are individual concepts. You got confused now. Okay. So property source to configure a property file with a different name. So this is for configuration purpose. Okay. So you cannot replace property sources with environment. So environment is an alternative for at value annotation.
Okay.
To read the property file into your application, either you can use at value or environment. But environment is not alternative for properties. That is the first answer. Next answer is...
Yeah. See, add property source, okay, that is for configuring a different file name property.
Different file, which is not application dot properties, right? Right. If you want to load inside your application.
But this Java beans... Okay.
So Java
how
beans...
about this Java configuration?
Yeah, at configuration properties. So instead of writing so many at value annotations or so many times doing environment.get message, right? Instead of doing that for so many times, if you want to have a proper way of configuring in a Java, right? If you have a grouping kind of concept. For example, in my application, I have a grouping, right? All these are properties are related to a particular entity. What is that? Mail. So when you find like a grouping, then you use configuration properties. So how we are loading all these properties into a single entity? Because all these are properties are related to email configuration, right? Email configuration, some grouping I have. So that's why I am using at configuration property. So when I go to a plain application.properties, welcome message, this is not any grouping, right? It's an individual message, has to be loaded into your Spring Boot application. This can be loaded using get value annotation or environment.getMessage. Right? Instead of doing at value for so many times or environment.getMessage for so many times, we do use at configuration. So this is better readability, right? No performance wise, there is no difference. Better readability, better way of configuring the properties. But this we use when we have grouping. At value and at environment we use when you see at individual properties, right? For one property, writing a Java file and annotating with that configuration properties, that doesn't make sense, right? I mean, that doesn't look good, right? For welcome message also can be loaded into a properties file, into a Java file, and that can be annotated with configuration property. But that doesn't look good because welcome message is an individual message. It's not a group, right? It's not a group. So where we have group we have for email configuration. So when you see grouping, then load them into a configuration properties file, right? Into a Java file, annotating with at configuration properties, so that you can avoid so many at value and so many environment.get messages in your code. But when the property is an individual property, instead of creating a Java file annotating with at configuration properties, use at value or environment.java. Okay. So now we have a classification, right? There are two things. One is configuring. So configuring can be done defaultly. Let me put the things. One is the configuration. Two is the reading that configuration into your Spring Boot application, right? Configuring properties file. Okay. Second is reading that properties file into Spring Boot application, right? Reading that properties file into Spring Boot application. So let's not get confused here. So how do you gonna configure the properties in Spring Boot? Defaultly, any file which has a name called application.properties or application.yaml, right, will automatically loaded into your Spring Boot application. That is the default behavior to configure the properties. If you don't like that, and if you want to pass dynamically, then we do use java-jar with -string dot config dot location. This is for dynamically to specify the properties file. Okay. In your Spring Boot application itself, you want to load a file which is not application.properties, then you use at property source. Right? At property source. Or if you have multiple property files, then use at property sources. Right? This extension, yes. So you can load multiple properties. So these are the ways you configure your properties files, right? These are the ways. Or you can use environment variables, right? System environment variables to configure your properties file. So these many ways you configure it, but how do you load into your Spring Boot application? Using at value or using environment Java. So what is the difference between at value and at environment? So if it is a property file configuration, can be loaded through at value. If it is some system environment variable, right, or property, can be loaded through environment. Now, when you have a grouping like emails, right, emails or some grouping you found, then you can load that grouping into a Java file by using et config properties. So these three are different and these are different. These are for configuring purpose, that the below are for reading purpose. Okay, so when to use at value? If it is if it is an individual value which is present inside application that properties or application or YAML or any custom property file, then that can be loaded using at value. If you want to load some system environment variable, at value won't work. You have to use environment Java, predefined environment Java. Spring will automatically create an object for environment Java. You just do auto where things will work fine. But when you have multiple properties of same category, some example like mail, email configuration. So if I don't use at configuration properties, then what should I do? I should write at value, at value, at value for 18 number of times, right? I think we have 10 to 12, 10 to 12 properties. And you have to configure at value for 10 to 12 times. Or you have to do environment.get property, right? Either you do this or you do this. It's going to be a programmatical configuration. You do at value for multiple times or you do environment.get message for multiple times. So when you have a grouping kind of structure, you no need to do that. That is not the best way, right? That is not a good programming practice. Then what should you do? You should do at configuration properties and give the prefix. All the properties will automatically loaded into the Java file, right? That is a good programming practice when you have grouping. If it is not a grouping, individual message, some individual message, right? For example, here I put uh, some property, right? Saying that yeah, welcome disclaimer, right? Welcome disclaimer. So some message, right? So this is an individual message. I don't want to be put it inside my mail properties right now, right? So mail properties is grouping where I gonna hold all the mailing information. But if you found something which is not a grouping mapping, then that should be loaded with at value or environment Java. Anything it's fine. Okay. So that's what I'm telling. Don't get confused, because in some projects they use at value, some projects they do use at environment Java, some projects they do use at configuration, right? So it depends upon project requirement we do use, but we have standards, right? When to use what, we have standards and specifications. That's why I'm telling this is a huge concept but not complicated. It's easy only. If you practice for 1 or 2 times, it becomes pretty easy, right? It's just a huge concept, because there are so many ways we can load the properties, you know. It's been Spring, it's in the market, it's like since like 15 years, right? For 15 years, Spring in the market. So they started introducing new concepts to load properties. So that's why this concept is growing, right? Earlier, they initially they started with at value. They introduced environment. Recently, they introduced configuration. So initially they come up with the loading default configuration. Then after that, reading that using Spring config location, then property sources, then environment variables. So there are so many ways we can do. You know, I'm just covering which is important, but actually there are 17 ways you can set up a properties. Yeah, Sharath, any questions?
Sorry, I'm on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, you're asking something? Yeah.
Yeah. So, so my question is like, suppose I'm running a database in Docker container. So I have I'm running a suppose MongoDB image, I guess. So there I'm providing the port number, username, password, all those things in the while running the that MongoDB image. So those values, how can I save it in the environment variable? So if you can give me any.
Yeah. So while writing that Docker file, right? Whoever going to generate the Docker file, that person will give the information to. So it can be set it as a environment variable. There are totally 17 ways we can configure the properties. Like I am just covering, which is very important, right? If you see like you can put it in a globally way in one system, but we don't follow this. Some test property source. So command line arguments, right? Whatever we discussed, Java hyphen jar. That way you can configure. That is a command line, right? And Spring application JSON environment variable, or servlet config, servlet context, JND attribute, Java system properties, OS environment variables, right? Yeah. So you can set it as a OS environment variable, Sharad. So you can ask the configuration person, right? Who does the production management configuration. So that can be configured in an operating system or Kubernetes config map. Both things can be done. Okay, so you can load that configuration by using environment.java, or you can prepare some properties file, right? You can prepare some secure properties file. It's not by all the developers, right? Who, it might be some lead or somebody who takes care about preparing that properties file, and that can be passed as a dynamic argument to your Spring Boot application on the particular environment. So when you are running when you are running that command, Java hyphen jar command in production, you pass that production MongoDB configuration properties. Okay, so
Yep.
that's where it's secure. Or you can set it a OS environment variable, or you can read it through environment.java. Okay, so profile specific we will cover in the next topic. This profile specific, and we have property source, and we have default properties. What is that? Default properties, application.properties or application.yaml. Okay, application properties which are packaged inside application.properties, or outside of package also you can do it. Outside of application, how you gonna do it? You will pass, right, Java hyphen jar command. Where is that file is present, right? Location. So then application.properties will automatically do. So there are so many 17. There are 17 ways you can configure a properties file. That's why it's huge, right? It's huge. I'm focusing on which is very very important in the real time requirements. Okay, so
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for
yeah, it's a
clarifying.
huge concept for sure. In microservices, we read some configuration. Okay, for sure we will read some configuration, and one more confusion on top of this. Once we jump into the microservices architecture, there is another concept available called Spring Cloud Config Server. Okay, this is what we're going to use in the real time. We don't mostly use all these things. We don't make developers to take care about all these configurations, right? Whatever is secure, we're going to load it through Spring Cloud Config Servers. Okay, this is one of the concept in microservices architecture. Okay, so once we started learning microservices, all Spring and Spring Boot completed, you're done with the development of writing multiple services, right? One or two services we will write it, right? So there, whenever you are connecting to the database, those details we try to load it from Spring Cloud Config Server. Okay, so that is what is the real-time microservices architecture of loading secure properties. So that we will discuss in the future. But for now, forget about that. Now itself, it's a so confusing concept, right? So many ways we can load the one properties file into your Spring Boot application. Most probably, don't do all these things. Go ahead with the default configuration, application.properties or application.yaml file. Okay, don't use until unless you see a specific requirement. Okay, don't implement all your Spring knowledge in your project, right? Go with the default structure. What will happen, it will create some better readability and easy maintenance, right? Tomorrow some developer is coming and is going to work on your Spring Boot project. If you configure the details in application.properties, by looking into this application.properties itself, okay, he may not be knowing all these details, right? But at least he knows the minimum requirement. If you are working on Spring Boot microservices architecture, that the default properties which is going to be supported by Spring Boot is an application.properties, and default YAML which is going to be supported by application.yaml, right? At least if you configure something like this, so it's like any new candidate who is going to join in your microservices project or in your Spring Boot application, you no need to give the KT saying that okay, these properties we are loading, putting in a file somewhere, right? No need to do that. At least in the development point of view, configure the properties in the application dot properties. Anything secure, right? Anything secure you feel that can be configured in Spring Cloud Config Server. Where you gonna configure that? Spring Cloud Configure Server. Mostly in the real-time project, we do use this. One is application properties, which is a common and not secure, right? You will put it here. So it's easy maintenance. Anybody can understood. Another thing, if something is secure, then we will put it in the cloud config server. Where we will put it? Cloud config server. So which is a microservices architectural design. So we will discuss that, right? So Sharath, answer to your question, yes, that can be configured in Spring Cloud config server. We will discuss once while discussing this topic, right? We will create one real MongoDB application, right, which is running on different port. I don't use Docker. I don't want you to confuse. Okay, I'll go ahead and run it as a standalone application. One service, which is the which is connecting to the MongoDB. We don't provide details in the application properties. We will provide those details in the cloud config server. We will connect it to that MongoDB database by reading the properties files from cloud config server, Spring Cloud config server. So that is somewhat secure comparatively with application properties. If you want more secure than the cloud config server, then we do put it in the application properties file, some file, and you pass that as a dynamic argument. That is a more secure. Yeah, that is a more secure, but we don't do that in the real time. Mostly we do use these two, application properties, and the next topic is cloud config server. Cloud config server. Yeah, so this is how we usually maintain our configuration management in the Spring Boot or microservices architecture. But you must know all these things to become an expertise in your Spring Boot and microservices development. You must know all these things, right? Environmental Java, at value annotation, at configuration properties file, application properties file, passing the properties file dynamically at command line, loading the properties with a different name, right? If it is a YAML file, properties file, it properties source won't support, right? YAML configuration, we have a different setup, right? So all those things you must know to become an expertise. Okay. So with this, we are almost done with the externalized configuration. Okay. So next topic is profiles. It is pretty easy because we already learned externalized configuration, right? So for example, in your project, right? For dev environment, you want to load one configuration, and for production SIT you want to load a different configuration, and production you want to load a different configuration. How do you going to do that? That's by using profiles, right? So I already wrote some example. Let me load that. Workspaces, Spring Boot core workspace profiles. It's a simple example. By looking into that example, you can understand very clearly because we already completed properties configuration, right? So look at here very carefully. I'm going to expand src main.properties. You do see different properties file here. See here, application dev.properties, application sit.properties, application properties. So whenever you are running in like without any profile configuration, so the default profile is going to load application.properties. The default profile is going to load application.properties. So when I run my applications, Spring application, right? So this is what it's going to be printed on the console, the default. So right click, run as Java application. Yes, there we go. So the default message is going to be fetching it from welcome message, right? Welcome to Spring Boot local set. So when you go and deploy your code into a production, environment, dev environment, right? So I don't want to debug. I don't want to print the logs in the debug mode, but I want a different message printer, right? I want a different message printed. So how we can instruct Spring Boot to load dev.properties, application -dev.properties. What do we do? We do run our application something like this. Okay. Right click on your application, run as, go to run configuration. In arguments, you have to pass one parameter. In arguments, you have to pass one parameter. Let me check that parameter name. I think it's a Spring dot profile dot active. I'm not sure. Let me check for profiles. Yeah, Spring profiles dot active, not profile. What you have to pass? Spring profile dot profiles dot active. Spring profiles dot active. So which profile you want to make it active? You want to make it active dev, then automatically application dev dot properties will be loaded into your configuration, into your Spring Boot application, right? I think there is something wrong with whatever we have passed. Right? Spring hyphen. What is the wrong mistake I did? Spring hyphen. That is wrong. Spring dot. What is the key I should pass? Spring dot. So go to run configurations. Just change that to spring dot profiles dot active dot dev. Now the logs won't be printed in the debug mode. The logs will be printed only on info mode. And now the messages are printing. What is the message we got? Development setup. Development setup. Right. So this is what is a is a development setup. Right? So this is what which is loading, but still the logs are printing in the debug mode. Right? Still the logs are printing in the debug mode. Can somebody guess what is happening? We didn't configure debug equals to true, right? Debug equals to true on our dev properties. Or I am not passing debug, right? I'm not passing debug in my run configurations, right? Let me go to run configurations and show you. So I'm not passing debug, right? So still the logs are printing in the debug mode. Can somebody guess what is happening?
Application dot
Yeah,
properties
first
are
application properties is loading. On top of that, profile specific properties are loading, right? In the last uh, in the last in externalized configuration, we read that, right? Profile specific application properties, right? Profile specific application properties are loading, right? So it first loads. So this is the dollar profile, right? So this is how we can load a profile specific configuration, which doesn't mean that application properties are not loading.
Berry.
Okay, it doesn't mean that application properties is missing. No, first application properties will be loaded, the default configuration will be loaded. On top of that, the profile specific configuration is loaded. So anything you configure to profile specific, then the application.properties will be application.properties message will be overridden with the profile specific message. Application.properties message is going to be override with the application dev dot properties. So it's also possible to configure profile in application dot properties file also, but this is not a good practice, right? If you configure that in the application dot properties, then what will happen? All the time only one particular profile is going to be active, right? If I configure dev, and if I wanted to run SIT properties, right? SIT properties, that is not possible, right? So what should we do? We should configure that in the runtime, not inside your application dot properties. Sometimes you might see, this, right? Development setup is working fine, but I wanted to switch it to SIT. Then you have to again touch your code, right? Configuring properties in application dot properties is not a good practice. That has to be configured, right? That has to be configured either as a runtime command line argument, right? Runtime command line argument, or right, or string dot. I will tell you what is that R command. I will complete after some time. Okay, after running this command. Profiles dot active equals to SIT. So without touching code, right? Without touching code, you can still load different properties, right? So now the SIT message is going to be printed. SIT message is going to be printed. Let's disable this, or else, yeah, let's override this, right? Whenever I'm deploying code, whenever I'm running locally, I want to print the messages in debug mode. But when I'm deploying my code and dev environment or SIT environment, I don't want debug messages to be printed. I want info messages to be printed. So I'm just overriding this property also. Okay, so yeah, so whenever you're going to deploy your code and SIT or dev environment, so debug logs won't be printed. Whenever you are deploying only running locally, right? So only the default profile is enabled. Then only the logs will be the logs will be printed on the debug mode. See, SIT is enabled. See, now only info messages are printing, right? And the corresponding profile specific property. Profile specific property. Yeah. So this is how we should do. You're not supposed to do the profile configuration in application.properties. If you do that, what will happen? The drawback is every time you have to touch your code. Instead of doing that, it's better to pass it as a command line argument. So we will do one thing, right? Now we just ran it from IDE.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding this one. How it is taking here in this application -SIT properties or application -dev properties, we are not mentioning anything about profile, right? So how is it taking it? How is it mapping it?
No, you don't need to specify the profile, Vijay. So this is the profile specific properties file. I'll do one thing. I'll run from a command prompt. Then you will get a better idea. So let me create an executable jar. Actually, we are not. This will load when you make profile active dev. Okay.
That's how it is happening. That is my question. That how it is mapping it.
I'm passing the runtime argument, right? Right click.
In runtime argument, we are just saying it as okay. Whatever we give with application -dev, that will be taken.
No. Yeah. So if you are passing dev means profile. If you are passing dev, for example, dev, then application -dev.properties will be loaded.
So every time it should be application something.
Profile.
Whatever we are going to give.
That is a profile.
Properties file name should be.
Yeah, that is a profile. I'm telling. So dev is a profile. SID is a profile. So something like this, you have production. So it no need to be a dev all the time, right? For learning purpose, we are making it as dev. Maybe
No, I'm getting that point. What I'm asking is, file name should start with application -.
Yeah. I understood. You understood. But I'm just telling for the other people, and I'm just going to say that this is not a static. The profile name can be a development also. So that time you have to pass the profile as development. So it's going to be loaded application -development.properties. Yeah. So this right? Is going to be the profile. So while you are running your application, how do you going to specify which profile you want to pick? You specify run configuration. Through run configuration, if I run dev, right? If I run dev, then things won't work as we expected, right? So I should specify development. So now only the development properties will be so develop, right? Yeah, development. So it's going to be application profile. So this development is a profile. That is what they mentioned in the documentation, right? Application profile.properties. So whatever the profile you're going to enable, that particular properties will be loaded. So this profile can be anything. So in some companies, so we mark it as dev QA, right? QA. In dev itself, you may have multiple dev environments, right? So maybe dev 1, dev 2, dev 3, right? So you might see multiple properties, right? Application -dev1.properties, application -dev2.properties, application -sit1.properties, application -sit2.properties. Okay, so like that, there are multiple properties can be configured. Which profile you're gonna enable at runtime, that corresponding properties file will be loaded. Okay, so whenever you are running from an IDE, you are passing it as run configuration, and profile program arguments you are passing, right? So let's see how we can do that, the same thing by using command line, right? So I think I built the application. Now the application is ready to run from command line. Let's go to this location, physical location. So right now I'm in workspace Spring Boot properties. Let's come out of this properties. Okay. Yeah, let's come out of this properties. Here we will have profile, right? So profile, let's go inside that Spring -boot profile. Okay, yeah. Let's go inside target folder, ls-lrt. So here we have executable Jargon, right? Executable Jargon. If I run by using java-jar command, let me pick the full path. Yeah. So java-jar command. So here my Spring Boot jar. Right. So if I run, if I'm not specifying any profile, so what is the profile? What is the default profile? If I don't specify any profile, what is the default profile? Default is default only.
Application dot properties. What is
Yes. Yeah. Default is default only. So your application that properties will be loaded. So we're gonna get a message saying that welcome to Spring Boot local setup, and the logs will be printed in debug mode. So let me execute this command. Look at this very carefully. You're gonna see huge information printed, right? It's printing class path and all. It's conditions evaluation reports are good. Yeah, you see no profile set. This message, read this message very carefully. No profile set, falling back to default profile. What is the default profile? Default only. What is the default profile? Is default only. So it's gonna load application.properties. So now the logs are printing in the debug mode. That is what we configured in the application.properties, right? And finally, it's gonna print a message from application.properties file. It's gonna print a message from properties file. What is that message? Welcome to Spring Boot local setup. Welcome to Spring Boot local setup. If you don't enable any profile, the default profile is default. Yes, default profile is default. Log. Yeah, somewhere here, right? Default profile is default, and by default way, it's gonna load application.properties file, and you're gonna get the messages printed from application.properties file. It's clear. It's clear to everybody, right? So no profile active. So only the default profile is default, and we are going to get the messages from application.properties file. Now let's assume that we're gonna deploy our code inside dev. Is it clear for everybody? Give me yes. Vijay, Jupudi, Jagadish, Abhiram, Chintesh,
Yes.
Sharat.
Yes, Sunil.
It's clear, right? Till now we
Yes,
didn't
Sunil.
enable any profile. Now let's go and enable the. Okay, yeah, not working. Yeah, now let's go and enable. Let's deploy our code in the dev environment, right? For example, dev environment. So I'm going to print this java-jar command, and I will run that Spring Boot, right, jar file. This time I wanted to enable because I just wanted to, just assume that we are deploying the code on the dev environment. Let's execute this command. Spring dot profiles dot active equals to development, not dev, right? So I think we changed it, right? Development, changed it to development, right? That is the ID.
P was not there. D
Yeah,
V L O N E N.
we will put it, right? Develop. Okay, development, right? So we will do the same thing over there. Right? Development. So this profile is going to be activated, and the message will be printed from application development properties, and debug is false. So messages logs will not be printed in. I'm just going to run this application. You see, this is what is the command line argument which we pass. Started application unconditional classes. Debug true is only taking local setup. Oh, now I'm changing the property file name. Before build, it was a different name, right? Okay, let me rebuild the application. Or do you remember what is the name I gave before? It's a develop, right? So that's the same property I should pass. Yeah. After building application, if you change it, right, the jar file won't be reflected. Wait, that is a mistake from my end. DEVOL. P is missing, right? Development, yeah, something like development, yeah. Run this. Now it's gonna pick properties file. Okay, let's run with the dev. Let's rebuild the application. Let's close this. Sribil. Sorry for the confusion. So I just give a wrong, the type of mistake would have been corrected while building the application. Okay. So anyway, it's ready now. Yeah, it's build happen. Now let's go back to the target folder for one more time. Run properties. Just go to the file system. Go to the target folder. Just open the git bash here. No need to be git bash. It can be any Windows plain command also. If you are using Linux, it's going to be terminal for you guys. Okay. So here we have Java -jar then Spring. Yeah, jar file. So without profile, again I'm starting with without profile. So the default application.properties file will be loaded, and this is local setup, and the logs will be printed in log mode. Yes. Now this time we're gonna run with the profile, right? So to run a profile and runtime, what should I do? I should specify hyphen. I should pass a command line argument. What is the string dot profiles dot active, not profile. Profiles dot active, and the profile name is dev. Yeah.
So means iPhone is there more than
Oh.
there for photo.
Yeah. Sorry. Good. So it makes me feel comfortable because you are focusing at least. Yeah. So now the dev properties will be loaded. See the development, right? The logs are printing in the development. So just to pick the set SIT properties, just pass SIT. And the set properties will be loaded. Okay. So it's like something we are passing a command line argument, right? So that's why we are, whenever you are running your application, so look at the code from where we are printing the command line argument from here, right? Arrays.stream args we are printing. So that's why whatever the command line you are passing as part of your main method is passed as an argument to spring.application.run, right? So whatever you are passing as a command line, I think this is there since it's Java 1, right? When the main method written, that time itself this is there, right? Passing the command line argument. So the same command line arguments, we are just forwarding it to Spring application. Okay.
Sunil, SIT means anything like that?
SIT setup.
No, SIT means like a system integration testing.
Yeah, system integration testing. Sometimes we call system integration. I mean, it's not. Usually the word is called SIT, but in the companies they have different naming conventions. Some people call QA. So it's a quality assurance. Again, it's a system integration testing. So it's a naming convention is different, but yeah, SIT means where the actual testers will test it, right? So development means developer has to do an integration testing. So how the environments we have local. So you're gonna test only your changes. Once you push the code into Git and build it to Jenkins and move the code to the development environment, where you do test a development integration test, not only yours, right? For example, in your project, like 5 people are working in development. So all 5 people integration code will be tested in development. So the tester won't test it in the development environment. Once you test everything in the development environment, everything looks good, then we will move that code to the SIT, right? SIT, where the actual testers will test the code. If the testers have tested the code and certified, okay, things are looking good as we expected, then we will move that code to the pre-prod and some pre-prod. Then we will do some pre-prod validations, and finally we will move the code to the product.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is how we're gonna use the profile specific. Okay, so we can mix. Already we already discussed, right, in the last slide. So it is also possible to configure, pass the properties file at runtime. So you can mix these two concepts, right? You can pass this profile specific configuration file, for example. So here we have dev and SIT. Production you don't have, right? So some configuration you are planning for the production that can be passed as a mix of these two concepts. One is passing the property file dynamically and profile also. So so you will have one more properties file called application -prod dot properties, right, where you define all your production configuration. That won't be in your project, right? So that is going to be passed dynamically at runtime. So then it's a combination of these two concepts. passing the file and specifying the um, profile also. So you do something like this, right? So your final command, it's like this. So whenever you gonna do the same thing in the production, so it's a combination of these two, right? So you do something like this, Java -jar. So somewhere in the production, somewhere you keep the file. Let's minimize, yeah. And he also needs to specify the which profile. So it's going to be application dot property, right? So maybe in your server, some file you keep that file, okay, in some location. Then application -prod. Then you have to enable that profile application spring spring dot profiles dot active equals to prod or production. Anything is fine. Okay, so then your file name is going to be application -production.properties. Your file name is going to be application -. So we provide security plus profile management. Security plus profile management. So this is how we're going to handle. Okay, so with this we are almost done with the profile configuration, and the next one is logging, right? How are you going to enable logging for your microservices? It won't take much time, like 15 to 20 minutes. So with this we are done with the core concepts, only core concepts, right? So these are going to be used in all the modules: MVC, JDBC, Data JPA, right? So in all the modules. So from tomorrow we're going to learn module specific, right? First RESTful web service we're going to write, right? We're going to write our first RESTful web services. Okay, but before that I will tell you a few core concepts. Like we will start with the servlets, right? Servlet application, then we will write native Spring MVC application, and finally we jump into Spring Boot RESTful web services. Then you will get an idea why we are writing Spring Boot applications instead of writing servlet application or native Spring MVC application. Okay, so we will jump. We will start that tomorrow. Um, uh, but okay, I mean these are concepts which are common across all the modules, whether it's a RESTful web service or a database connectivity, right, or a NoSQL DB connectivity, right, or a reactive programming. Anywhere we're going to use these concepts, right? Depends on lazy, scope, auto-wire, profile management, dependency lookup, constructor dependency injection, at configuration, at bin, at component scan, at component, right? All these configurations, these are common across all the modules. That's why we are learning all these things, and we are stretching a lot, right? Why? Because this is the common thing which going to be used in all the modules. Okay, so any questions till now whatever we discussed? Somebody messaged me something. uh, oh yeah, sure, yeah, sure. Yeah, so I wanted to complete this profile. That's why I spent that. Otherwise, I would have been covering Vijay. Usually, right, tomorrow if I any questions before we wind up the session. Sorry, guys, it's a too long session. It crossed today more than 2 hours. Yeah.
Sunil, like the videos you are sharing, so that will be available for us, no?
Yeah.
Like so the access will be limited only for